right, so I'm not going to waste too much time. Today I'm going to be finishing a video that I started yesterday where I was talking about Game of Thrones Clash of Kings by George R. R. Martin, as you guys all know, unless you've been on Mars. And this story, this comic follows Arya as she's with, I think, Hot Pie and Gendry. They're weaving past Ramsay Bolton and, well, not Ramsay Bolton, I should say, but his father. Yeah, his father. And, it's pretty good, man. You know, yeah, it's pretty good. It's really dense, though. It is a really dense story. It talks, it shows the war of the, what is it, 4 or 5 kings? Stannis, and then you got Stannis, you got the boy king that Joffrey, you got the Wolf King, Winterfell, um, you got Stannis. Yeah, so 4 kings so far. But yeah, it's incredible, man. The attention to detail is fantastic. It's just really dense. You yeah, but it is. That's I'll probably put that as a notch off. A notch off. The fact that it's so dense, but it's real. It really is good though, and I actually like it. I actually like that it's dense because when I come back to this after a couple months, what I'm saying, a couple years, 'cause I'm gonna collect these. I'm not gonna have them in case where I don't touch them, obviously, but I'm gonna collect as many as I can. And when I come back, it's gonna be nice to know that there's so much attention to detail that were in these comics and all the dialogue, you know, because it's there's different scenes too, man. Like, obviously they're copying the book and all that, but at the same time, these are artists giving their rendition of this world. So that's why it also gets cool points. Comics are able to do that. Um, but yeah, man, it's really good. I like where the story is. I like the parts that they're showing. The ones that they gave a lot of detail to. They're talking about Marjorie. That's one thing I wanted to talk about. They were talking about in the in the king's court. They were like, "Hey, you gotta leave Sansa alone because her brother's in open rebellion and her father got beheaded and he's a traitor and they claimed all these falsehoods to the king, to the king Robert and this and whatnot. And so Marjorie, the people are just like, yeah, we want Marjorie. And as far as the story, as far as like her in the movies, not the movies. I'm trying to fix my microphone. Not the movies, but the show. Man, she was a really good character. I was really rooting for Marjorie, man. I like Marjorie a whole lot, man. I really felt like, um, especially out of the women on that show, she was definitely one of the best. Um, she had a lot more redeeming qualities than a lot of the her other counterparts, her female counterparts. Um, and yeah, she was fantastic. The way that they just had to do it like that, I guess. You know what I mean? But I was just like, damn, they killed her like that. Damn, well, she couldn't just got like just stabbed and then died kind of beautifully, kind of like off screen, like oh, and then it switches over. You know what I'm saying? They had to blow her up in the wildfire. I was like, come on, man. Such a waste of a character. So the people in here, they're like, yeah, we want Marjorie, yeah. And they got her, like, for a time. But yeah, this is really good. I'm actually going to finish this, man. I'm going to finish this. All right, everybody, we are back with another episode of Art and Our Entertainment. Let's go. Um, I have a new comic that just dropped. Um, I actually had some other comics that dropped too, so I usually don't get shipments, back to back like this. And I have a lot of those that I still mean to review and talk about because they're awesome. And if they're not awesome, I'll talk about those too. Um, but I'm gonna open this up, and whatever this is, I'm gonna read it right now, and I'm gonna give a review on it. So y'all rock with me. Things from Another World. I like that. Just like saying like that. Let's see what we got. Yeah, it's been cold all day, man. But it's really nice outside as far as just like, you know what I mean? It'd be nice if there was like a fire or something and you were, eating outside with the family. That will work. It's not too cold to where you're like, oh my God, I gotta, it's nice. It's nice, but it can be a little chilly though. All right, so, boom. Wow, look at that. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Clash of Kings. Game of Thrones, y'all know what it is. I told y'all I was really big on just getting these comics, was really just, on the fence whether I wanted to do a review on Game of Thrones books just because they're so big, they're so dense, So I'd rather just read the comics, for some of these reviews, because I know the comic is gonna talk about the big moments, and for me, I say it again. That's the cool part because it's a different route to talk about something. You know what I mean? Because those books are so dense. And I still haven't read all of the books. I've read like four of the books. You know what I'm saying? So that fifth one I didn't read. But because by the fifth one I was just like, whew. I mean, by the time I got to the fifth one, I was like, whew. So I think these are dope. They do what I need them to. They get right to the point, showcasing the biggest moments in Game of Thrones, and it's being brought to us in comic book form, which I know is gonna be so creative just by the sheer magnitude of what Game of Thrones is, because they want to capture that moment, those vibes, and yeah, man, I'm gonna read this real quick and I'm gonna tell y'all what I think. Also, I thought the other Game of Thrones comic was pretty good too, man. Showcasing the battle at Blackwater Bay. In the show, we're not able to see the battle because it's dark, like it's like pitch black, and but it got its point across greatly. There was a battle. It's in a wildfire did its thing, in the wildfire. Excuse me, was the light, but you know what I'm saying? But still, it was a dark fight. In this comic book only just, extensively showcases the battle sequences on the ships, which, never hurts. I think that's fantastic. I'm gonna get into this a little bit again. One thing I do when I'm reading comic books, when I get the second issue, um, I always go back to that first issue, read the last couple pages, just so I can, get reacquainted and reimagine the world that I have to suspend disbelief to be entertained in. And so, yeah, but I'll be back with my review for this issue 14 of George R. Martin, A Clash of Kings, Part 2. There's something that I find very interesting about the War of the Four Kings, regarding specifically the Starks. Um, during this point in the story, all the Starks are dealing with the separation, being away from each other, uh, which they never dealt with before, and definitely not to this extent. Um, they're dealing with being away from each other, you know, and their family is basically, the family is crumbling, and they're all in different places while it's happening, and I just find that very interesting. Ned was, he was south. His son, it was in Winterfell. Um, his daughters were south with him, so there's just a lot of moving pieces that you just get reminded of when you read this stuff. It's really interesting, man. Um, I like that. I like to see the comic style just added to this story. This already great story. Let me say one more thing, man. You know what I mean? Look. It's going further. I said, let me say one more thing. Like I ain't about to say more shit. But here's a part that I really like. That I like the most so far out of this comic. So Sansa's looking around the room during all this, and then she hears Peter Baelish being like awarded all this stuff, and this is what her mind is saying. She says, he looks so pleased as she sees Peter Baelish kneeling down to accept it's some benefits. You know what I'm saying? Um, Sansa had not heard Littlefinger doing anything especially heroic during the battle at Blackwater Bay, but it seemed he was to be rewarded all the same. And then this dude says, this dude with I imagine he sounds like, "No, no, no. It is the wish of the king's grace that his loyal counselor Peter Baelish be rewarded for faithful service to crown and realm." Okay, be it known that Lord Baelish is granted the castle of Harrenhal with all its attendant lands and incomes, there to make his seat and rule henceforth as Lord Paramount of the Trident. Man, this dude, man, see, that's another character. I said Marjorie, she died too soon. Littlefinger, I don't know. Am I wrong for him being one of my favorite characters? Like, he's like my top. He's like my top three. He's my top three favorite characters, man. There's, uh, yeah, man. I mean, there's some good ones, man. Jon Snow, obviously. Um, Jon Snow. I probably got four. Jon Snow, Arya, Peter Baelish, and then you got Tyrion. Yeah, those are my favorites right there. You know what I'm saying? Um, so yeah, man, I just liked how interesting Peter Baelish made Game of Thrones to me, man, because it starts off like a fantasy mystery, and it's so it was a big universe. And Peter Baelish, with as smart as he was and as masterful that he was, being the puppeteer behind the scenes, the puppetition. You know what I'm saying? Acting as a puppetition, but then really, being the string puller. You know what I mean? Was incredible. Legendary acting on that guy's part. Whoever, I don't follow actors' names, but whoever that guy is that played Peter Baelish in the shows, he killed that shit. Um, because it's one thing. I mean, because it's the great thing about George R. R. Martin's writing is that the characters, they breathe a lot of light when you breathe life into them really when you're reading it. It's incredible. But that character Peter Baelish is so interesting even on the page, man. And then so to have him, you know what I'm saying? So to have him on TV and then have the dude that plays him just tear it up, just kill it, just kill the role, man. Um, yeah, man, he definitely stole the show every time, every scene he was in, man. Pretty much stole it. But yeah, man. All right, so it was dope. It ended off on a not a high note. You know how Game of Thrones is. Ain't no high notes at the end, man. You know what I'm saying? It yeah. You're left in shock and awe when the episode's done. Just like with these comics, they're no different. it just ends with Sansa being, Sansa being between a rock and a hard place, man. She thought that since she was cast aside because Joffrey picked a new queen, she thought, okay, my responsibilities are done. I can go back home. That is not the case. Joffrey is a sick, twisted king, man. He's insane, and he's greedy, and he's not giving up anything that he can control. Yeah, he's crazy, man. And it was really good, man. It was a really good issue. I think that's the only one as of now. These are the only ones I have. Um, and that was the last one I read in a prior video was issue 12. This is actually issue 14, so I'm not reading them in order, but that's fine because, like I said, they highlight the big events. So I don't know the next time I'll be getting one, but when I get one, I'll be more than happy to elaborate on a comic book because I know it's going to highlight the big parts of Game of Thrones, which are all awesome. You know what I mean? Like, I think they're just following the books. They're just following the books. So, you know what I'm saying? We ain't even got to talk about how some of the parts of the show were just terrible at the end there. At the end there. And yeah, it's following the books, and that's why I'm gonna rock with it because they know where it's really at. But peace.